so many men who really want specific things in bed, but they're never going to tell women. And you said you could help our audience do that. So what do men really want in bed? I mean, I think I know what my man wants, but do I?
Let's find out. I mean, the first thing that I want to discuss is, especially in our society nowadays, where everything has to be politically correct and everything has to be 50-50 and equal everything, in bed, men don't want equality. It's like the worst thing that can possibly happen is when they have the feeling that they can't live out their dominant side. What
Right?
men really want in bed is that they want a woman who's happy to submit to them. And that's when they're really, really excited to have the sexual experience. But whenever they have the feeling that the woman, yeah, pushes a little bit too much, is too aggressive in bed, is too, let's say, too equal in bed, for a lot of men, this can be very frustrating. And for some men who didn't reach yet quite a stage of confidence, for them, it can be very intimidating.
Wow, that's really interesting you bring this up because I actually know of a young woman. She's about 32 years old and she considers herself very sexually educated. And she was dating a young man, also sexually skilled, and he couldn't get it up when he was with her. When we discussed it, it turned out that he was a little intimidated by her because she did have so much sexual education and she did want to openly discuss her sexual desires and preferences. So if a woman is confident and she does know what she wants in bed, she should refrain a little bit or hold back a little bit so she doesn't intimidate a man.
I wouldn't say holding back. I would say she should initiate sex in a teasing, playful, feminine way, and not in a very aggressive way. Like, for example, slowly unzipping his pants, slowly taking his clothes off, those kind of things. Just not too aggressive.
So I give this seduction class every now and again. I just did one at La Perla Lingerie, and I was teaching women the power of saying no very seductively. Because sometimes my husband he'll say, "Hun, can you get me, fill up a glass of wine or get me a drink?" And I might say, no, I really can't do that until, I have this itch. It's right in between my thighs. I'm really gonna need that scratched before I'm able to get a glass of wine for you, honey. So when you say teasing and seductive, would that be threatening even if a woman says no?
That would be not threatening. That's exactly what men want. It's like this inviting teasing, basically, so that we know, okay, now we can make a move. Now she wants us to make a move. Well, what I know from a lot of men, a lot of them don't want and don't appreciate this whole playing hard to get game. Especially
Right.
now, especially nowadays, because there's this whole consent thing and they're always scared, oh, can I make this move? Is it okay if I do that? For example, when you're in a dating process with a girl and she really wants to sleep with you, but in her mind she's like, oh, I can't do that, I can't go in for the kiss, otherwise he thinks I'm easy, otherwise he thinks I'm the slut, oh my god, what can I do? And then she blocks him, but not in a fun way. And then this creates this friction. So she actually wants to sleep with him. She wants him to persist, but he's afraid, oh shit, if I make another move, will I get into trouble?
Right. He doesn't want to cross the line.
Many clients who have this problem nowadays, who always ask me, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? And I mean, it depends in which country you are, of course.
Well, I would disagree with you on that it depends on which country you are, because regardless of the laws in the country, men should still respect women.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. Like, of course, men should respect women. I mean, the level of fear of men depends on the country.
Right. Okay. Okay. So let's say a woman does want to have sex with a man, but she doesn't want to be too aggressive. So she shouldn't reach over and just slowly zip down his pants, because that is a little, what should she do? And let me qualify this, because most of our listeners, they don't want to have sex just one time. I would say having sex one time, that's just like for a woman opening up a can of worms. Like, what's next? When's the second time or the third time? Because I think the third time is usually better than the first time. I hope.
I totally agree with that, yeah.
If I have sex with you now, what happens next? Right?
Give the guy the signal, okay, I'm interested in you. You're not stepping over this line. Like you're not doing something that I don't want, but I don't want it right now, but I will want it in the process.
Okay, so men want a woman who's going to submit in bed. That's the first thing that we've covered. So when you say submit, should she voice her expectations? Because I have a rule, no licky, no dicky. There is like, if it ain't good enough to lick, it certainly is not good enough for your dick, right? And I also think from a health perspective, men should be trying to go down, because if there is some sort of odor or something that deters you from wanting to kiss her, then you should probably not put your penis in that. But I think so what if a woman, things are going too far, and I know that as a global seducer, like most women need something other than penetration. They need something to become really excited or to have an orgasm during sex. So should a woman share what she wants and also be submissive?
Once you had sex for the first time.
So the first time should just be like a freebie, like volunteer. Like, I just got to go do this work. I'm doing my service, because the second time we're going to have a conversation.
Because when you address it in the beginning, it's the same as a guy, for example. As a guy, I also like to talk with women openly about what I want. But if you haven't had sex yet, then it's often very difficult to talk about these things. Because then it's like this weird, awkward situation where you both want it to happen, but you don't want to, she plays hard to get. He doesn't want to push too much. And then it's really hard to bring that up. But when you had sex once, even if he didn't fulfill all the criteria, maybe, then you can still talk about it afterwards. And I really think that after the first time sex, when you're still lying in bed together, when you're cuddling, when you're just talking, then you can address these things. What do you like? What do you like? And then you can share your sexual fantasies, and then you can make it even better the second time.
Awesome. Now let's talk about sexual skills for women. I really think women should develop their sexual skills. Not only should they know what excites them, but I think they should also be good. I mean, I think women should be good in bed. So they should know the power of squeezing their vaginal walls while the penis is inside of them. They should know great ways to stimulate him orally.
The most important thing.
Is oral sex for men? I often say it like,
at least for me, but maybe that's highly subjective. I don't know.
Is that because she can't talk while she's doing it?
It's a perfect way of teasing. Like when a girl goes down on you, it's just perfect. There's nothing better.
There's nothing better. So you hear this, ladies. Be submissive, but don't be shy.
Yeah, like by being submissive, I don't mean like this in the kind of 50 Shades of Grey way, not necessarily. But I mean it in the sense you allow him to take over the lead so that he's confident in bed.
This reminds me, I once worked with a lesbian couple. And well, actually, it wasn't a lesbian couple. It was a woman who was dating a man now, but she had previously dated a woman. And she said what she learned in that relationship, which really helped her relationship with her man, was that there's so many other things to do than sex. So when her and her man first got together, his erection was not very firm. And she said, that's okay, let's just do some other stuff. And he said that was it. He knew he was in love, because that really helped him become really confident in bed, that she didn't even care whether his erection was completely hard or kind of soft. She was like, there's so many other things to do. I like doing this stuff with you.
Totally, because men have in general so many fears when it comes to sexuality, even though most men don't even admit it, but we have it a lot. I think the first one-night stand I had the same thing like years ago when I was still very inexperienced, that we just sometimes can't get it up because we're so nervous, we're so overwhelmed. We're like, oh, what if we do anything wrong? And I mean, women in this sense don't have the same problem because, well, there's nothing that has to get up. And then if you're in a situation where you're with a girl who's like not very accepting, then it can be very, very bad for your self-confidence.
You mentioned something that was really important. I want to get into that in 1 second. Before we take a break, though, is there anything else other than being submissive, not being too aggressive? Basically, I shouldn't just rip off my dress, have leather lingerie under, and then grab him by his neck and be like, I'm gonna do you. I shouldn't do that? Like, that might scare him away. Awesome. We're gonna talk a little bit more about what men are scared about in bed next, right after we come back from this break. Boom, let's do this.